Hey folks, this is Rebel Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Tornado Tony Petticoat.
And Marvin Hagler, we're going to start off with a big story about him. He's going to get a street named after him. I know there was already Petronelli Way, so now Marvin Hagler is getting a street named after him in Brockton. Brockton City Council on Monday approved a proposal by two councilors to name an under-construction street Marvin Hagler Drive. 62 3-2 record, 52 knockouts. The street will intersect Petronelli Way, as I just mentioned, the site of the gym where Hagler was trained and managed by the Petronelli brothers. And the gym, I don't think is any longer there, but I was lucky to catch that place when I did. Did a couple of sparring sessions there. one was good. The other one, not so much. I broke a rib. So, but it was encouraging to find out the kid won like New England's after that. He was not a slouch. Anyway, obviously, everybody in Brockton knows everything there is to know about Rocky Marciano, but not a lot of them talk about Marvin Hagler as much, just because, I don't know, Rocky's just had a bigger impact on the people I dealt with anyway, because Dennis was how I got introduced to most of them. But anyway, I do remember Goody talking about him, and some other people up at the gym that would show up and tell stories. Still sad to think he was just an hour away from me up here, and I had no idea. I thought he was still in Italy. Anyway, $100 million lawsuit is being filed against all these illegal streaming sites that streamed the Jake Paul fight with Ben Askren. Triller has filed $100 million piracy lawsuits against 12 online streaming sites, as well as 100 unnamed individuals, for providing over 2 million unique viewers with illegal and authorized viewings of the April 17th boxing match. They wanted you to pay $49.99 for it. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people did, especially with all that musical stuff that the pure boxing fans really don't tune into fight for. Anyway, I got another related story to that too. Apparently, Eddie Alvarez. I didn't really click and read the article, but there was a headline that Eddie Alvarez has decided not to box or try to box with Oscar De La Hoya because of that segment where he was talking on a Triller broadcast. But anyway, that's a side one. The sites, filmdaily.com, accesstvpro.co, online, 2livestream.us, crackstreamslive.com, and 8 other similar sites supposedly violated Triller's copyright of the match by copying and streaming the event, and in some cases turned a profit by charging viewers via services like PayPal for access to the video. But yeah, Triller co-owner Ryan Kavanaugh had this to say in a statement: "It's shocking to think a theft so grand can be done so blatantly and brazenly, and with no remorse. There is zero difference between what they did and walking into a market, stealing tons of a product, and selling it at a discount in the parking lot. People put a lot of hard work, time, and money into creating a product for the consumer, and having it stolen and resold is terribly damaging." Well then, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Anyway, I just find it funny that, when you sue somebody at this level, And then you also name the sites where they can get other illegal streams, It's in the news, but, you're kind of giving away the secrets. There was one of them, crackstreamslive.com. Crackstreams. It came up on one of the ones that I usually would use, and it was just like lagging, so somebody put up a link to that site, and it's just Crackstreams, just like it sounds. Yeah, it's been one of the most reliable ones for me. Knock on wood, but they're getting sued now. I don't know how they make money, but probably by the ads, because that's the most ridiculous part of it, is the pop-up ads and stuff. You got to deal with it. You just got to know the system. Anyway, bad stuff they're saying. Triller wants to shut it down. Anyway, on that note, Triller is the home of Mike Tyson. I think he's an investor in it, actually, like Jake Paul is. Anyway, there's rumors now that he's thinking about fighting Lennox Lewis. I don't know if we talked about that before.
That's what I heard.
But, yeah.
Because they were talking Holyfield, but I knew Lewis was mentioned as well, and I thought I saw something post today. Maybe it was something you posted when I was scrolling, when I should have been working, actually. I was thinking, oh shit, that he's going to fight Lennox Lewis.
Yeah.
I was obviously very busy today. When I was at lunch and I was doing selfie videos of me fucking with car warranty scammers.
I was burning brush like a madman in the rain all day, injuring myself repeatedly. No. I'm doing a lot of work this week. I got a Kubota tractor for the week, so.
Yeah, the young.
Yeah, what happened was, I had one of those. Well, the quarantine worked good for me at first. I was doing all the boxing stuff, staying in shape. Then I had this season during winter when people have all their wood and they're not ordering more, and so I had a lot of sit around time, do nothing, and do computer work and shit like that. So obviously, I put on a lot of weight, and little did I realize I was up to 240. I was like, what?
Yeah,
and so, yeah.
You know what? It's easy to put on, ain't it?
It is easy. It's
really
too
easy. To put on.
But then I did a hike with a friend of mine up a mountain, and my sciatica had been bothering me, and I did the hike, and it was like, oh shit, this is why they say this is the cure, exercise and stretching it out. And it got me to think. On the way down, I'm thinking, this is the age I'm getting to where, if you put on this kind of weight, it's harder and harder to get it off each year you advance. So. I'm getting up on 45, and after that, it's like if you put on 20 pounds, like you might not ever get that shit off again. If you're not, always active, and I'm in an active field, logging and shit, but man, it's not easy to fucking reverse that. But
what's crazy is like it's something I lost a lot of that weight doing that isogenic. I was doing the cleanses and all that, and then. I was getting away from certain things. I was working in the city. My whole routine got up. So I had lost, like, about 52 originally. And then I, put about maybe 15 of it back on. But I was still, like, right where I kind of wanted to be. I was actually perfect where I wanted to be. And then it was, like, working in the city, I was putting it on. Then I would get some of it off. I'd put it back on. Then last year has been a challenge, working from home a lot. Like, I can get up every hour and do some push-ups and do some sit-ups, but I feel my diet has not been as good because you're always at home, and it's like it's easy just to get up and walk to the refrigerator. When you're at work, you either got to go, like at least my job, I'd have to go downstairs to like our Wawa convenience store, or you'd have to go to the vending machine, which I would pack a lunch to save money, and and do all that. So I was obviously doing, much better. So like this year with being home and all that, I had gone to a urgent care back in September, and my weight was a little higher than I wanted it to be. I feel some of my clothes are tighter, but I'm also doing a lot more muscle because I'm doing more weights, and I'm doing push-ups. And now I'm getting back into that DDP yoga, which I started in the beginning of this year, and I was really feeling great results. I was feeling great increased flexibility. I was getting, great. I was pouring sweat a lot of these workouts. Heart rate was up like you would say in the videos, and I was just about to graduate the 13th week of the beginner, plan when I got hit with the COVID. And I had taken 2 weeks off. Now, during those 2 weeks, I was still doing my push-ups every day. It felt like I had a sumo wrestler step on my back. And, I was feeling kind of weak. I was like, okay, maybe Monday I'll start over again, because I didn't feel strong at all. I had, the bronchitis in the lungs. I had, no lung capacity at all. I can't run. We'll see how I feel on Monday. So, last week, I got my first vaccination shot on Wednesday.
Now,
Tuesday or Wednesday.
let me interrupt you there for a second. I don't want to create a Joe Rogan moment here, but I had a friend, or my girlfriend's friend from Maine. She had COVID. She had the vaccine while she had COVID. And the COVID originally was nothing for her. Really wasn't that bad. And then she had the vaccine, and she had a terrible sickness setting. Did you have that feeling? Because
but here's why I made it worse. And this is me being me. Had the shot on Tuesday. Wednesday, my arm was sore, but I'm like, there's still enough where I can do my 100 push-ups. Did my 100 push-ups. Did a light workout. I walked 5 miles home Tuesday night. So still felt okay on Wednesday. Did workout on Thursday. Late workout on Friday. I went to see my friend on Saturday, and I was really lethargic. Really. And I was talking to him, and I was playing with Dominic, and I was like, man, I just feel really, really tired today. So I don't think much of it. Go home. Sunday, I didn't do anything. Sunday was a no caffeine, no go nowhere, do nothing day. Just sit around and completely bed. Then on Sunday, felt really lethargic. Now Monday, I knew I had a meeting in the afternoon, which I was already annoyed about. So I was starting my work day late. Got a 2-mile walk in the morning, did a 2-mile walk at lunch, my dad. And then after work, I'm like, I don't really have time. I don't have this. I just don't feel like I have the strength to do the yoga, because that's a lot of, even with the planks and all that. I said, I just don't have the strength. I said, I'm going to walk. And my genius, idiot self decides I'm going to walk 5 miles. So I go down the first half mile, and then I go, there's a 1-mile loop. If I do the first loop, I'm at 1.5 miles now. I should just go the half mile home and be 2 miles and done. But I'm like, no. I said, boy, I feel really shitty. I do the second loop, and I'm at 3+ miles, and I'm like, man, I don't feel good. I'm like, no, I got to do a third. I did that third, and I'm like, I'm at 3.5 miles. I'm like, Tony, do not do the last 1.5 miles. No, Tony, you got to. You're in a 5K next month. I'm the Grand Marshal. I'm not competing. But in my mind, I got to look good for the photos. I did that last loop. I'm a half mile from home. I barely made it home. I got home, I collapsed on the couch. They're like, are you taking your inhaler? I'm like, no. Why not? I couldn't breathe. It was bad. It was, but I'm like, I might be going to the urgent care tonight. But I fought through it. They're like, you going to take the next day off work? No. And then I was like, I've been trying to take my inhaler, but only when necessary, and only maybe so I can sleep at night.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's something they should have figured out. That's one of those things where the testing, when you don't have that huge amount of time to test something. But it sounds like it's obviously an anecdotal pattern now, because I have a friend that had that happen, and you've had it happen. You've gotten a worse sickness than you had with the original shit from the vaccine.
Yeah, like I said, my symptoms were very bad. But when I went to the pharmacy on Tuesday, Tuesday to pick something up, I had to get a lot or something. So I went there. I walked back to where the pharmacist works. I know that. So I'm like, listen. I said, I had COVID right at the end of March, early April. I'm out of quarantine. Got my first vaccine last week, and I said, I didn't have many problems with it. I said, but I did yesterday walk 9 miles, do 100 push-ups. And they're like, why did you do that? I'm like, I just did. And then they're like, they're like, you shouldn't have done that. I'm like, yeah, I kind of figured that out now. But they're like, no, just take your inhaler and try to relax a little bit.
All right. Well, we hope to get better anyway. Let's talk some more boxing here. We had kind of a busy last weekend. Not too many big names, but Emmanuel Navarrete, probably heard of him. He won over Christopher Diaz.
Yeah, I dozed off during that fight because, like I said, really fatigued. But I heard that was a pretty good one.
Cool. Denzel Bentley losing to Felix Cash. That was also last Saturday. Nothing really else jumping out. Josue Vargas over Willie Shaw.
Edgar Berlanga, not only Berlanga's only did he lose his first round knockout streak, but he went the distance for the first time.
Yeah, I did end up watching that.
Knockout streak is over. I watched it, and that boy came to fight. That boy landed some shots. I think he exposed Berlanga a little bit because he landed some good shots on there. I mean, first round, the guy kept his distance, and then second round, Berlanga landed a left hook on top of the head, and the guy went down hard. I'm like, oh shit, this might be the show right here. And he got up, and then they were fighting, and then there was like 2 other knockdowns that were kind of questionable. Like, was it a push with feet tangled up? But then the knockdown in the last round, the 8th round, I mean, he caught the guy solid, and he knocked him down hard, but it was like only 10 seconds to go. As soon as the guy got up, the bell rang.
Yeah.
But Berlanga, he had to pay that first test. He had to sit down on the stool for the first time and get instructions.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if it's a matter of him fighting bums or, he just ran up against the one guy who could take his power. I don't know really which one.
Well, I think it's a combination of both. Like, some of the guys he fought had decent records, but, like, sometimes some of those guys that he fought, they were walking in, like, almost like what guys did in the early stages of Mike Tyson. And, like, as soon as they got hit, it was like the power,
he's got speed and power is what he has. When the physics guys come at you with words like velocity, that's what you're dealing with there.
Yeah.
He's got just incredible angles and speed and power combined. And when that doesn't overwhelm people, and he keeps trying to do it, the problem is he's leaving his face wide open a lot. He doesn't have a very sound defense, which showed because he went the full distance. But part of that is just knowing that you're a knockout artist, and needing and wanting that knockout so bad.
Remember when Triple G, and even when he won the title and he was knocking everybody out, if you go back, there was one of his title defenses against a very good, capable fighter named Curtis Showtime Steve, and he hit Steven. I think he knocked him out in like 3 rounds. But there was a point, like, the first knockdown of the fight, he hit Stevens with a left hook, and Stevens goes down, and, like, his eyes were, like, so, like, wide, like, holy shit wide, like, what the hell was that just hit me wide? And I think a lot of times when guys feel Berlanga's power for, like, the first time, they get that holy shit deal, and then that puts them instantly in, like, a retreat mode. Because even the other night, that guy was holding on a lot. I mean, he took some shots, he got up, he showed heart, but, I mean, there were times, like, he was holding on like an octopus. He was holding on like just on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we have a ton of fights Saturday, May 1st.
Yeah.
We have the big one on free TV, I believe it's on Fox, with the heavyweights. It's actually the co-main event. Our boy, guy we used to, we had once on the show, Chris Arreola, And we asked him the burning question. How does it feel to be named after a nipple? You remember that?
I remember the interview with him because I remember he said fuck a lot. But I don't remember him. I don't remember that question specifically.
I don't know how it came out, but I think I actually asked him about that. Anyway, the main event is super welterweight Sebastian Fundora, undefeated, 16-0-1, fighting Jorge Cota, who is 30-4, lost 2 out of his last 6. And then heavyweights, slimmer, more physically fit, it looks like, Andy Ruiz. He's 33-2, coming against Areola, who is 38-6-1. And always a tough fight. But I think Ruiz is going to handle this one. Talk about speed and power. Like, Ruiz is really firing on all cylinders. He's just unstoppable. But he's another guy that, if he wins, he still comes out of the fight with 2 black eyes. It's one of those things. Styles works for him. So, how can you complain? Another interesting one, middleweights, Arislandi Lara. And this is actually a Fox pay-per-view, sorry. It's not free TV. Arislandi Lara, 27-3-3 at middleweight, fighting Thomas Lamana. Cornflake, they call him. He's 30-4-1.
I know that. I don't know him personally, but I know guys that know him. He lost pretty badly last year, so I'm surprised he's taking a fight of this caliber against a guy like Lara.
He's supposedly retired 2 years ago. I remember putting the article out on our website. But this one's for the vacant WBA World Middleweight title, believe it or not. It's a big step up for Thomas, For a while he was fighting on his own card that his mother was promoting. So, always going to win. He was put up against guys that basically were pushovers. But, now he's right back in the mix, So, obviously he found renewed his love for the sport and, found a niche for himself. But I don't know. I don't know if he's that good for Arislandi Lara. We are going to find out, though. That's an interesting matchup. We got featherweights. Eduardo Ramirez, 24-2-3, fighting Isaac Avalar, who's 17-2. If that's not enough, we have a Jesus fight on this card. But before we get to that one, Omar Figueroa Jr. at welterweight. He's 28-1-1, fighting Abel Ramos, who's 26-4-2. And here's the Jesus fight. Jesus Alejandro Ramos, undefeated. That's right. Sometimes Jesus is undefeated. Fighting Javier Molina.
The guy can walk on water and turn water into wine.
Yeah. Javier Molina, 22-3. So Jesus has a good chance of winning that one. A lot of welterweights on this card. Adrian Granados, 21-8-2, fighting Jose Luis Sanchez, who's 11-1. We'll go through the rest of them. We got some. I don't know if this is Luis Collazo's relative, but we got super middleweight Enrique Collazo, 14-1-1, fighting Marcelo Ruben Molina, 23-19-1 in Florida on Saturday. It's not a very common name, I don't think. Somehow, for some reason, Boxrec has 2 different cards.
Do you think you're because it's coming up in like a few minutes? There's a rumor that you're in New England might trade with Philadelphia to jump up. I think it's going to happen.
Oh, I think New England has to trade like every draft. They trade their picks at some point. That's like one of the things that they've done consistently. Rebuilt the entire team this year, pretty much. They kept. They hung on to.
That were expected to get in the top 10 have just fallen out of the top 10.
Oh wow!
So, I mean, could they potentially jump up with the Eagles to go to number 12 and grab one of them? Because Dallas isn't going to take one at 10, and New York, who has a third-year quarterback, ain't going to take one at 11. So they might take the Eagles pick, grab a QB. The Eagles, whoever the Eagles take will fuck it up.
Yeah.
I have no confidence in us. That's what I did as I went downstairs before the draft. I put my jersey on, and I grabbed a bottle of Jack Daniels, and I'm like, I'm smiling now. How long is it going to take for me to tear this shit off tonight and start drinking the bottle?
Anyway. Derek Tesora also fighting in the United Kingdom this weekend. He is 32-10, fighting Joseph Parker, who's 28-2. And that's a big one. Interesting article, too, today I read about. Derek Tesora said that when he retires from boxing, he's going to burn all of his memorabilia. I don't know why, but that's what's the article.
That makes no sense, but...
I don't know. I'd be like lining up at the door as soon as he made the announcement. Hey, can you? I'll buy something off you before you burn it. Anyway, I don't know if it's valuable stuff, but he's been around for a while. Joseph Parker has lost 2 of his last 6, but so is Derek Tesora. So I don't know if he's going to retire after this one either. But it's going to be on DAZN in co-main event. It's interesting too. With the WBA Super World Light Heavyweight title. 16-1-1 Craig Richards, who I've never heard of. And Dimitri Bivol, who is 17-0. And then we have not Alfred Lord Tennyson, but James Tennyson. Spelled the same. But he's not a poet. He will mess you up. He is 28-3 lightweight, fighting Giovanni Straffon, who is 23-3-1. That one's for the vacant IBO.
Give me just a minute. My stupid team just went on the clock. I want to see what they do.
Okay.
You can go. Keep going with your stuff. I'll join you back in a minute.
All right. Katie Taylor, 17-0 at lightweight. Phenom from Ireland there. It's a big fight for her in the UK. Fighting Natasha Jonas. Not a big name there, but 9-1-1. Big record for the WBC World Female Lightweight title and the WBA World Female Lightweight title. The IBF World Female Lightweight title and the WBO World Female Lightweight title. All of them. Middleweights. Chris Eubank Jr., 29-2, fighting Marcus Morrison, who's 23-3. And if Tennyson isn't enough on a UK card, we also have Scott Fitzgerald. Not the F. Scott Fitzgerald, you might know from literature. But this one's pretty good. He's 14-0, fighting Gregory Trinell, who is 13-6-2. That's a super middleweight fight. I do believe we had another big Jesus fight of the week. Here it is. Baja California, Mexico featherweights Jesus Delgado, 21-1-1, fighting Eduardo Heron Marquez Nunez, who is 16-7-1. And pretty interesting matchup for Delgado. I think he's going to win that one. All right. Now we were supposed to wait on Tom before we talked too much MMA. But I guess we'll go through the Professional Fighters League. They had their first event last week. We definitely had to save the UFC card for Tom. But we had a pretty interesting fight card there with the Professional Fighters League. A caught the main event and a couple supporting fights. But, it was a pretty decent event. We had a lot of decisions. Alex Martinez over Loic Radzhabov. That was a split decision, leading off the card. Tyler Diamond beating Sung Bin Jo, unanimous decision. Chris Wade over Anthony Dizzy, D-I-Z-Y. No surprise, he lost. That was a unanimous decision. Ahmed Aliev over Mikhail Odintsov. That was a UD. Raush Manfio over Joelton Ludebach. That was a split decision there. And somebody got a knockout. Brendan Loughnane over Shimon Moraes. Knockout first round, 2 minutes and 55 seconds in. Bubba Jenkins getting a unanimous decision over Lance Palmer. Technical fight there. Movlid Kaibulaev fighting Lazar Stojadinovic. That was a unanimous decision win for Movlid. Couldn't find Randy Couture. Was butchering his name left and right. Kaibulaev. Just couldn't say it. One of the fights I enjoyed most of all this weekend. There was a lot of incredible UFC action. Marcin held against Nathan Schulte, and this was kind of a theme. This whole weekend kind of continued on the UFC card. But Marcin held was pretty confident going in. He's had the power, he had the experience, he had the UFC background. And Nathan Schultz just came in throwing bombs anyway. And Held would load up with the right hand and throw the shots, and Nathan would just pretty much just keep coming forward. It didn't matter what was thrown at him, what landed, what didn't. Just kept coming forward and kept landing his own shots. And I wasn't rooting for one guy over the other, but I kind of thought Marcin would win on his experience. And basically, he just landed a few more extra shots, and it was a straight-up kickboxing match for most of the whole show. But I was just really impressed with Nathan's durability and his, basically ability to keep it close for the entire fight. Close enough where, if he landed a few extra shots, was aggressive a little bit more in a couple different moments, he could have had Marcin on the canvas done for the night. But it was just a brutal back and forth. A lot of punishment, a big war in that fight. And then we had a 3-round main event and a decision, which was interesting because it was Clay Collard in the main event. And, you expect a boxer going into MMA, or, in his case, I guess he would say MMA fighter went into boxing. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg there, but Clay Collard, he's 19-8 in MMA. He got the win, though, over Anthony Pettis coming in from UFC. Falls 24-12. But I think this was Clay's 20th win, actually. Clay looked good. He made some mistakes. He kept his hands a little bit lower than I would have thought a boxer would do. But, it's a different sport. But he was doing a lot of spinning stuff. Spinning back fists and kicking. He kicked very well. Very, very sound MMA fight plan against Anthony Pettis, and it worked. I mean, obviously, it was a unanimous decision. But interesting, very interesting fight there, and I'd love to see Clay keep going. See what he does next. But this is a tournament format type of season where every type of win gives you a different set of points. It's kind of like FanDuel. Which I did, yeah, all right, with one of my cards this weekend, but I could have done that. Just preview, I guess, while we're waiting for Tony and Tom. I'm doing the solo broadcast here. We'll go to the previews before we go to UFC 261.
I will be back in 1 minute, okay?
Okay. Dominic Reyes and Jiri Prochazka on UFC on ESPN 23. That's the main event Saturday. Reyes 12-2 gave John Jones sort of a tough fight. Controversial scoring a little bit there. Anyway, Jiri 27-3-1. It's just a lot of experience there. So see how good he is in this one. Giga Chikadze 12-2 fighting Cub Swanson, who's 27-11. He's had good Cub days and bad Cub days. We'll see what kind of ferocious Cub shows up. Chikadze, obviously just 2 losses. It's a tough fight. We'll see how it goes. Dustin Jacoby, 14-5, fighting Ion Cutelaba, 15-6. Sean Strickland, 22-3, fighting Krzysztof Jutko, who's 22-4. Mira Davalishvili, 12-4, fighting Cody Stammen, who's 19-3-1. And we got a female fight, Luana Carolina, 6-2, fighting Pollyanna Botello, 8-3. Another female fight, back-to-back female fights. Yeah, Rhonda Marcos, 10-10, solid 500, 1 draw, fighting Luana Pinheiro. 2 Luanas, 2 back-to-back. Luana Pinheiro and Luana Carolina. Luana Pinheiro is 8-1. Gabriel Benitez in the 5th fight of the night, 22-8, fighting Jonathan Pierce, who's 10-4. Kai Kamaka, 8-3, fighting T.J. Brown, 14-8. And 3rd fight of the night, Konklak Sufasara, 5-2, fighting Sam Hughes, who's 5-2. Whoa, I guess they figured that out. That was a perfect matchup on paper. 2nd fight of the night, Andreas Michailidis, 12-4, fighting KB Bueller. B-H-U-L-L-A-R, not Ferris Bueller. Anyway, 8-1 is his record. Luke Sanders in the 1st fight of the night, 13-4, fighting Felipe Diaz Coleres, who is 9-2.
I'm back.
All right, there he is. Back just in time.
Yeah, the Eagles traded with Dallas, which I didn't think made a lot of sense. But I guess it was really kind of like a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Because last year, Eagles traded their 4th round pick to Dallas. So my mom sense. So they traded their 4th round pick for a 5th round in 2020 and a 5th in 2021. They traded a 4th for 2 5ths, and now I want to go drink a 5th. This year it was like Dallas had 10. They had 2 players they really liked that went off the board at like 8 and 9. So the Giants loved this one wide receiver, and they were like, I don't think Dallas sees the Eagles as a threat. So they're like, you know what, fuck it, we'll let the Eagles jump up, get the one wide receiver just so the Giants don't get it. So they're basically teaming with an enemy, the fucking enemy they think is a bigger threat. And New England has not traded yet.
Well, I did all of the MMA except for UFC 261. I was trying to save it for Tom, but we don't have it Tom yet, so I'll try to relate it to boxing as much as possible. But first fight of the night was a barn burner, and my winning card included the winner. on this one. Ariane Carnelosi, and I just based my pick on the profile picture on SureDog. This girl is jacked up. She's got muscles. She probably beat all of us in an arm wrestling contest. She's just, I mean, you look at her in the wrong way and you might think she's a man. But, unreal. Anyway, Na Liang was her opponent, and this is the first fight in forever, it feels like, in front of a live audience in Florida. So, and it wasn't really a full stadium, but boy, they sounded like a full stadium for this fight. And I wasn't closely watching this one. I was like cooking food or something, so I was walking in between the living room and the kitchen. But, oh boy, they were going at this fight by listening to the crowd screaming. They were really back and forth, and there was some submissions, I guess, attempted. But Carnelosi, I knew she was the stronger girl, and boy, she out-wrestled, outstruck, and outworked Na Liang. And it was pretty much the end of the night. I mean, she basically verbally submitted at the end of it, but it got pretty bad. But it was a TKO from punches, 1 minute and 28 seconds into the second round. Then a fight that had me jumping out of my chair almost. Mind you, I'm by myself, okay? And, it's already got the win from Carnelosi, so it started off. And it's a TKO, so that's big points on the FanDuel. So, Jeff Molina's my pick going into this second fight. And I don't often yell at the TV when people aren't here. Just every now and then. But this fight, oh my God. I am very, really surprised if Jeff Molina doesn't get $50,000. But he fought this guy, Kaleng Aori, and this guy was like the Terminator. Just kept coming forward. I told you this was going to be a theme earlier. He just kept marching forward. And Jeff just has a very unique style. He used the whole ring, the whole cage, and found his range. And then, and I was worried though. It was very close rounds, those first two rounds, because Aori was, bouncing back and hitting him. But there was a point where Aori started to show signs of the wear. The third round came, and Jeff Molina started finding his target and connecting beautiful boxing. I mean, he had this big, huge looping hook he kept landing, and uppercuts, and just absolutely owned the third round. And it got close to a stoppage, but Aori remained on his feet and just showed the incredible chin that he has. But yeah, that was a brutal fight. I was screaming for Molina, cheering him on, and I thought he was going to get that TKO, but just fell short. Anyway, Rodrigo Vargas in the third fight of the night, beating Zhu Rong by unanimous decision. And that was an interesting one because Zhu Rong was pretty much undefeated going in. And Rodrigo Vargas did not let that bother him. And Zhu Rong had to make a lot of adjustments right away. Kept getting tagged. Not a very good defensive style for the UFC, and just didn't work out for him. I didn't have Rodrigo on any of my cards, even the losing one. But then the fourth fight of the night, I knew that Bat Jarrell, based on his record, he was going to have a good shot of taking care of Kevin Natividad, and boy did he. 50 seconds in, TKO. That was a beautiful job there. I had him on one of my winning card. And then we had a bunch of fights where I had nobody. Pat Sabatini over Tristan Connolly, unanimous decision. Brendan Allen, this is the one I should have picked. He beat Carl Roberson by ankle lock submission. 4 minutes and 55 seconds into the first round. So 5 seconds left to go before the bell. And that was an interesting one because both guys were going for leg submissions at the same time, and Allen got his first. Then we had Dwight Grant over Stefan Sekulik. That was a split decision. Randy Brown over Alex Oliveira. That was a rear naked choke submission. I had Oliveira on my losing card. He just real quick loss there. 2 minutes and 50 seconds in. He slugged it out a little bit, but Randy just was too long-legged and long-reached and just took care of business. And then we had Anthony Smith. I didn't get to actually see this one at all. He beat Jimmy Crute by doctor stoppage. That was after one round had completed. The doctor stopped it, so somehow I missed that one. But I did not miss the next one, and you probably heard about this one. Just a crazy, crazy set of circumstances here, Tony. Okay, I'll put it to you this way. Okay, say you had a cousin, right? You got a cousin, male cousin. Let's call him Frank.
I think. Okay.
So Frank, all right. Frank fought you before, and Frank broke his leg, kicking you. So then, your friend fights Frank, and retires Frank. Then you end up fighting your friend right after he retired Frank, and you break your leg fighting him. That's kind of how this situation worked out here, because this guy Uriah Hall, he was on The Ultimate Fighter. His claim to fame for years and years was knocking out this kid in The Ultimate Fighter with some kind of a spinning kick. And at the time, Dana White said it was the greatest knockout he had ever seen on the show. But, you know, this is a kid who got into MMA kind of like the Kung Lee version of events, where he got bullied and, you know, he decided to go into martial arts first. And, you know, he has such great respect for it that he feels very bad whenever he hurts somebody. You know, like, you're in the fight business, but you feel bad when you hurt somebody. It's kind of like, it's a catch-22. Like, he's good at it, but it makes him feel horrible when somebody gets hurt. So this kid was knocked out in The Ultimate Fighter, and like, he was worried. He was more worried for the kid than he was excited about, you know, the knockout. So anyway, Uriah Hall had just retired Anderson Silva. And, you know, I joke about the Anderson Silva broken leg, and in his fight, I called it the rubber chicken leg. Because that's what happened to his leg when he kicked Chris Weidman. So this weekend, Uriah Hall, who just retired Anderson Silva, in his last fight, goes up against Chris Weidman, who went up against Anderson Silva, and Anderson Silva broke his leg trying to kick him. And 17 seconds into the fight, Chris Weidman loads up on a kick, and lo and behold, his leg does the rubber chicken. And I have watched this clip more than I should have, because I'll tell you, I turned away from it immediately. As soon as I saw it break, I turned away from the live TV. Just turned away. Just could not. I knew it was going to be bad. So then, later that night, my girlfriend shows the clip already going around, you know, the actual replay, and I see what I never saw at first, because not only does the leg break, he steps back and tries to put weight on it, and then it folds
Ow.
sideways, like, oh, and that's when the pain registers, because if you watch it closely enough, the moment that the leg breaks, that the snap happens, Chris Weidman's focus barely changes. Like, it's almost just like, oh, that's interesting. In slow motion as it's happening. His face doesn't register any pain. But then the foot goes back to step, and that happens, and he starts screaming. And of course, Uriah Hall, being the type of guy he is, not liking to hurt people, he hasn't even thrown a strike. He didn't even get a chance to throw a punch 17 seconds in. He goes immediately to like a prayer position, and everybody's losing their minds. I mean, it was just brutal. And then just the story, I mean, just unreal. Like the game 6 Degrees of Separation with Kevin Bacon or whatever. Just this guy was in a fight where the other guy broke his leg the same exact way. Now he is on the other end of it. But it's with the guy who retired the other two. It's just unbelievable. Fact is stranger than fiction. So yeah, that's 17 seconds worth talking about, that's for sure. But Chris Weidman has gone through surgery already. He's expected to be out approximately a year if he does come back. But he's in good spirits, supposedly, despite the horrific injury. I guess it could have been worse. His leg could have broke so bad that the bone popped out, but thankfully that didn't happen on live TV. Close, I tell you. Boy. Oh, I knew it was bad as soon as it happened. Anyway, the big mistake I made, I had Uriah Hall, by the way, on my winning card. Or Anthony Smith, one of the two. I think it was Anthony Smith. Then I made a big mistake with Jessica Andrade. I thought she was going to be a tougher opponent against Valentina Shevchenko. But Valentina is a tough cookie. She just does everything right. She makes the right adjustments, and she uses every angle, every limb, every point of contact. And Jessica is just very short reach, very short girl, and just couldn't really get on the inside to do her damage. So Shevchenko took it away. I should have known better. That was not the dark horse to back. She just couldn't get it done. But the fight of the night for me was Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang. And this was like the proverbial communism versus United States capitalism. Communism versus capitalism right here in a fight. Rose from the United States, Weili Zhang from China. And they had some back and forth about this, actually. Rose had to actually clarify that, which is not about the Chinese people, or any people. Wasn't anything about that, but, it was just about her being against communism. So that was interesting. But the fight was even more interesting because it didn't last very long. But about 1 minute and 18 seconds in, and Rose landed a head kick. And Zhang went down to the ground, took a few punches, and immediately was protesting that the fight got called off. But, it was clear from every replay that she was dazed, confused, out of it, and she claimed that she was fine. So, it's just, just what Chinese media does, right? The government will tell you, the government's great. Yeah, nothing bad happens. No. It's fine. They didn't imprison anybody or take anybody's rights away. No. So it's very interesting. That's how her reaction was. Oh, no, I didn't lose a fight. I'm fine. No, you got fucked up. But what a story for Rose Namajunas. She had the belt before, lost it, and then just took it back with this one. Just amazing. And I didn't realize that was a title fight, so I should have had her on every card, but I had her on one card that ended up losing. But the big one was the main event, Kamaru Usman, and that was a boxing-related result because Jorge went down from a punch in the second round, and this was a very contested pregame, roll up to the actual fight. Because these guys had fought before. Jorge only had 6 days' notice. So there was a lot of smack talk that, now with a full training camp, he was going to take care of him. So Kamaru said, well, it was a decision last time, but this time I'm going to take him out. And sure enough, he did, and made the right adjustments. And Jorge really didn't have an answer. There's a reason why Kamaru's only got one loss. And took him out second round, 1 minute and 2 seconds in. Doused him. Knocked him out cold. And of course, as the internet does, they had to do the meme with everybody passed out on the beach, like they're sunbathing. And of course, they added Jorge Masvidal to that one. But it's also the funny meme going around of Jorge asking Ben Askren if he wanted to come over for a sleepover. They're both passed out. They even brought the guy back from the other Jake Paul fight there, the basketball player dude that got knocked out. Crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I forget his name. Only went for like 40 seconds or whatever. Yeah. It was bad.
Bad stuff. All right. Well, let's check. Let's check the Google links. See if there's any new news today. I'm not going to find it in wrestling. New one. I'll have to check this one out. Company says it will host Galactic Combat MMA fights in space. Let's check that out. Hold on. What do we got for boxing? We know that Jake Paul, we talked about him a minute ago, has a running list now of fighters, athletes, and celebrities who have challenged him to fight, including Canelo Alvarez, believe it or not. But the fighter I really want to see take him on is Tommy Fury. Tyson Fury's is a half-brother? Step-brother? Something like that.
I don't know.
Related, but he's a heavyweight. And he said he's ready to sign the contract. That's how ready he is. But we don't know who Jake Paul's going to fight next. But I can predict right now it will probably be somebody that does not have a lot of boxing experience.
Yeah, that I agree with.
But one piece of Paul news that did make the rounds this week is Floyd has confirmed a date of June 6th, I believe, for the Logan Paul fight. 0-1 versus 50-0.
Yeah, so that's a Sunday, isn't it?
That's a Sunday?
I wonder why he's doing it on a Sunday. Yeah, June 5th is a Saturday, because that's the day I am being the Grand Marshal of that 5K run. So I saw that thing where it said June 6th. I'm like, that's June 6th, a Sunday. Unless maybe he looked at last year's calendar. His literacy's never been his strong point.
Don't make him read a book.
That was good.
Prove you wrong.
Who did that to him one time? They were like, let's do like a book at him or
50
something.
Cent.
Like a press conference.
50 Cent when he was beefing with him.
Oh, okay. I knew somebody did it.
We did that on the show. Let's see. Here it is. Zero Gravity Entertainment. It's already being talked about. The company Airvolino Entertainment and the startup Space 11 just announced the creation of Galactic Combat, a new format of mixed martial arts fights that will take place in space with zero gravity. Despite sounding unbelievably metal, it's a bizarre plan with questionable odds of success. As Space News senior writer Jeff Faust highlighted on Twitter, Galactic Combat will take place on a specially designed spacecraft with a built-in fighting capsule as it orbits the planet every 90 minutes. That's crazy. The announcement explains about this that 32 of the 40 competitors would be eliminated over the course of a training program that uses components of astronaut training regimens to prepare fighters for battle in zero-G. Those final 8 will duke it out for a spot in the grand finale, which will supposedly take place in the specially designed fighting spacecraft. So there's only one fight at zero-G. That's crazy. Alright, well. That's a space gimmick if I've ever heard of one. Well, here's a transition. We're going to see if Endeavor is going to go to the moon, as they say in stock parlance. Endeavor Group Holdings, the parent company of the UFC, and a talent agency as well as other interests, led by power broker Ari Emanuel. Saw its shares edge higher on stock exchange debut on Thursday, valuing the company at $10.8 billion. Debuted as a public company. Second attempt to go public after abandoned plans just a day before their IPO in 2019 due to lackluster demand and also due to poor showing for the Peloton public offering, I remember at the time. Peloton is still doing commercials, so they must be doing good. So they said we re-engaged, strategized, and resegmented the company, and I think we have a cleaner and simpler narrative driven by an incredible roster of institutional investors who are extremely strategic. Now, I know their goal was to take over 100% ownership of the UFC prior to this, but I don't know if they actually completed it. That would be interesting to find out. Anyway, stock opened at $27. And it was $24 per share on the IPO. So it already went up $3. Whoop-de-doo. Anyway. Now it says, following the listing, Endeavor plans to buy the remaining 49.9% stake in the UFC from private equity firms KKR and Silver Lake. So, yeah, they said they were going to do it before him, and now they're saying they're going to do it after. Classic bait and switch. Anyway. Here's one more story about West Point. Went to the Air Force Academy. We fought a lot of guys from West Point when I was there. But I didn't fight anybody from West Point when I was there. I didn't get to fight anybody from West Point until the finals.
Yep.
Of, well, my finals. Because I didn't get to go to the ultimate finals.
Yeah.
Of the national tournament, the one I did in 1998. And it was Michael Jordan. But I think did we have Randall Bailey on the show before? I think we did.
Yeah, Randall Bailey.
Yeah.
On the show because I mentioned about going to one of his fights in Reading, PA.
So, a young relative of his, I believe it's a nephew, Daniel Bailey, former soldier turned professional boxer, just fought at West Point on a little card they had there, and he had a different life. He didn't really have unfortunately wasn't the son of Randall, nephew, but I guess he had a very different life, his father, than Randall. He said he grew up in Daniel, this guy, the guy that had the boxing match, said, I grew up in a projects building and got food stamps. My father is still in prison, but I never used those moments in my life as excuses. I always told myself because of my circumstances I had to work harder. So he fought Luis Alvarado in a 4-round bout in the junior lightweight category, 130 pounds, and scored his third knockout victory out of 4 fights in 18 seconds. As part of the U.S. Military Academy's first hosted professional boxing program titled Ring City, USA. It was televised through Twitch and NBC Sports on April 22nd. Bailey said, I'm very proud to perform at West Point in front of cadets because being in the military is something special and it shows that I'm on the right track with my pro career. I was fortunate to serve my country as a soldier, and honestly, now that I'm a pro boxer, I'm happy to show the cadets and soldiers at West Point that I'm not even tapping into my talent. It's all hard work. He's 24 years old. And he was 13 years old when he entered the gym. First time. So yeah, he was the headliner. I'm not sure what the rest of the card
Well,
was
it's funny,
like.
Rich. A few weeks ago, our one neighbor lives across the street. That guy, very quiet guy, older guy. He's moving into a retirement home. So I think his granddaughter was buying the house, and I forget if it was like a nephew or a son-in-law was over there. And my dad went over, just to wish the guy well, moving into the retirement home. And the guy was always very nice, very quiet. And his son-in-law, or whoever he was, nephew was there, and saw my dad something boxing. And he goes, oh, boxing. He goes, I was a coach at the U.S. Military Academy. My dad's like, in New York? He's like, yeah. He's like, what years? And he was like, mid-90s, 2000s. My dad's like, well, that's when my son was playing Parkhaven. So my dad could not remember anybody I fought from U.S. Military Academy. At that
Michael Jordan!
How do you forget Michael Jordan? How do you forget that?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like Dave Adams, Michael Jordan. I think that's the only two I fought.
The guy who played basketball?
We never matched.
Remember?
What?
The guy who played basketball?
Then I had to run home because I always have my senior year scrapbook upstairs. And a lot of times I'll have, names of coaches. If I pull up a card, it'll say, okay, these are all the fighters that were on the card. Here's who won. Here are all the officials, and here are the coaches. So if I saw anything from VMI, it would have Gordy on there. I'd say, Coach Calkins. So I had to find one of the ones with the Army where the guy's name was Captain Todd Giles, I believe, or Giles. But we haven't seen the guy since. To say, oh, do you know Captain? Watch, it'll be the same guy as the guy and Captain Giles. Yep. Then you beat the shit out of my star basketball player.
Those were the days. Oh, boy. Yeah, some of the schools are
better
going back to
watch out for the
normal,
Jets. They got 2 of the top 14 picks.
But that about does it for all the stuff I had lined up. So until next week.
Better to be.
Guess we're gonna have no
I'll be on my
Tom.
best behavior all week.
We might not have Tom next week either with tax season.
Oh, I know. I want to do something nice for my dad this weekend. It's his birthday. I'm going to try to do a video with him, maybe working out. But this time, instead of last year where he was holding the pads for me, I might hold the pads for him. I just got to see how he's feeling. Crohn's and his Parkinson's, and he's still been a little bit down about the dog passing away a couple weeks ago. So, trying to keep him as occupied and productive as possible. Keep him, just focusing on other things. Mm-hmm. And then with me, I'm still trying to get better. I talked to one of the, actually Hank Sisko, I talked to his daughter tonight, she was talking to me about the whole thing we're putting together, and she's like, "Why did you say in one of your emails that you're feeling better?" She's like, "Were you sick?" I'm like, "I am sick. I have COVID." "Yeah, I'm sick." "Oh, Patriots made their pick, Rich. Patriots made their pick."
Oh, boy.
I heard that they were looking at the punter from Alcorn State. Okay, Goodell's sauntering up to the line. He's got his arm around somebody that's not paying attention. Get the hell out of the way. I want to see. I'm telling you, they're going for this quarterback, Mac Jones. I'm telling you. My friend, Jones was a potential top 3, and he fell down at 15. The Patriots don't take him. They're stupid.
Well, we got...
God, that guy's mask was
You got the other guy for one more
hanging
year.
out of his mask.
You got Cam Newton for another year, don't forget.
Guy's got a big double chin. Yeah, well, yeah, but then you got a chance to let this kid groom for a year instead of throwing a rookie in there and get killed.
Is he a Cam Newton type of
Newton
quarterback?
serves as a tackle dummy. What? Cam Newton, who what?
Is he a Cam Newton type of quarterback?
No, I don't think so. I think if it's Mac Jones, he was from Alabama, and they were a hell of a powerhouse this year. But I don't think he's a dual threat like Cam was. But I think he's more of a traditional quarterback. Mac Jones, Alabama. Well, there you go. You got your quarterback for the next decade.
Oh, well then.
Walking out there looking like a grown-up Opie.
Mac attack.
I gotta put that on.
So that'll be used.
Gotta put that on social media.
Who are you? Mac Jones. All right, well, till next week. Enjoy the draft.
All right. Yep.
Get well.
See you. Thanks.
Stay active. See you later.